YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, ranking offensive tackles for you guys today for the upcoming year. Very important, especially for this video, that it's for the upcoming year. How I think they'll play this year for all these position ranked. That's how it goes. But it's important for this one because I think the younger offensive tackles are starting to take over. We got a glimpse of it last year. Some of the old guys still at the top here, but then we're going to see in these rankings some of the younger guys that really took off last year, maybe the year before even. They're going to pass some of those older guys up here. So got a playlist full of these. More to come. We have the interior offensive lineman next. Then we're on to the defense. Can't wait to rank the defensive players. We'll rank offenses and defenses as well and coaches. So can't wait to get to those. Football's right around the corner. But you see the rules, criteria listed above me. Very important to kind of know for these rankings that I do every single year. I do them the same way every single year. But you can check out that playlist, the other rankings. You can check out other content, in-season content. Cannot wait for. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Check us out on Twitter and also the other social media accounts there. Links pinned in the comments for that. Liquid IV, GLD. We have sponsors, Code Go. Again, you'll find links down below. Starting with 20, it was tough to leave some guys off the list. Twitter subscribers get top 32. Here on YouTube, top 20. So Dion Dawkins just makes the list. He's a pretty solid tackle. The Bills' offensive line needs to be better in general, but that's kind of the bright spot of their offensive line. You wish he'd be a little more consistent, but it was really tough between him and some other solid tackles. I mean, you have Tyrone Smith, who's always injured, but he's very, very talented. Is he as good as he once was? So it's kind of a battle with guys like that. Some of the second-year guys. Taylor Decker was pretty close. So it was a Braden Smith. Some of those guys, it was really, really tough. And again, we're combining left and right tackles with these, just ranking the tackles. Juwan Taylor at 19, who was on the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously, and now with the Kansas City Chiefs. And has he been a top 20 tackle in the past? I'd say no, but we can see he was on his way. I liked him a lot out of Florida. He was a big-time prospect, a lot of upside. And we kind of saw a glimpse of him kind of getting in that conversation last year. Now he goes to the Chiefs, who are very good at developing and coaching offensive linemen, and getting to play with Patrick Mahomes is a bonus as well. Obviously, quarterback adjustments play a part. So I think Juwan Taylor will be a top 20 tackle this year. Jake Matthews, who maybe once was a top 5 tackle, still very solid. The Falcons' offensive line in general is pretty solid. Caleb McGarry, maybe a guy that's not too far outside the top 20. But the Falcons got a pretty solid offensive line. Jake Matthews kind of the leader of that group. Taylor Moton, one of the better right tackles. I think we'll mainly see left tackles on this list. Most of the best tackles in football are left tackles. But some right tackles, a couple in a row right here. Taylor Moton, who's one of the better ones in football, very solid. Panthers' offensive line's really coming together. And then Brian O'Neill of the Vikings, who was the Vikings' best offensive lineman for a little bit there, but actually getting passed up by their left tackle, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But this just shows how good of tackles there are in today's NFL, because we got some legit right tackles at 16 and 17 here. But if you're ranking right tackles only, they'd be up there. Next group of guys here, Ronnie Stanley at 15, tough to rank because Ronnie Stanley, do we want to say could be the best? I mean, I'd say like last year, there before, like going into those years, like if he's healthy, he could actually be number one, like the best. Now, I'd say pretty close, and he could be number one. He's that talented, but he does have the injury concern. But we'll see if he can kind of keep it going. He came back during the year last year, looked pretty solid. He just had a few years there of injury, so he's very tough to rank. If you tell me staying healthy for the full year, he's gonna be a lot better than 15. And you have Colton Miller at 14. Solid pass protector, obviously. Still could get better. Second year, Josh McDaniels, very quick, obviously has that. And then, but they ask a lot of, the Josh McDaniels and his offensive lineman for a lot of the, power blocking, a lot of just straightforward north and south blocking. That's where Colton Miller, I think, could get a little bit better, but obviously has been very solid. It kind of fits today's style of tackle. Orlando Brown Jr. 13, which I've always been a pretty big fan of, and there's a group of people out there that don't like him, but I think he's arguably the best run blocking tackle. He's definitely up there, which will help the Bengals big time because they've unable to get the offensive line for the Bengals have been disappointing in general, but they've been unable to get the run game going because the run blocking has been atrocious. So that'll help that, right away, but he's also going to upgrade them in pass protection as well, the left tackle position. I thought he was very, very solid with the Chiefs. We saw him in the playoffs last couple of years. Very good. So I got him at 13. David Bakhtiari, another one. getting up there in age and has had some injuries. But if he's fully healthy the whole year, he's much better than 12. But is he the same as what he was because he was the best tackle in football for a bit? He's not quite the same even if he is healthy, but he's pretty close. Just a question of him staying healthy. And then Teron Armstead, who's been one of the better tackles for some time, had an injury pop up last year. Maybe, not quite as good as when he was on the Saints, but still very solid. He was a big-time free agency signing not this past free agency, the one before, for a reason. Just misses the top 10, got him at 11. So some really good tackles that are tough to keep. There's so many good ones. There's a pretty good drop-off, though, because pass protecting is a problem in the NFL. So when you have a good one, some of these good ones, they're really good, but then there's a big drop-off with the teams that just don't really have them. On to the top 10. I got Ryan Ramczyk at number 10, the Saints right tackle, who, recently we haven't heard his name a whole lot, I guess. Right when he came in to the league, he was already one of the better tackles, but I got him in the top 10. Maybe it wasn't a top 10, I guess very recently, or if you're ranking based off, if the people that kind of go off what they read, recent play, probably wouldn't be in there, but I think kind of gets back on track, I guess we'll say, kind of get considered as a top 10 tackle here. Jordan Mailata, who's been very impressive for the Eagles, their right tackle. I got him at 9, and we'll talk about Lane Johnson in a second. Penei Sewell at 8, who's been, some of these young guys have been very impressive. Obviously, it's just, they all feel like top 5 tackles, so it's pretty tough. Rashawn Slater, who was out pretty much all of last year, very, very impressive in his time that he did play before last year. I'm a big fan of Rashawn Slater, so he's going to be healthy, and I expect him to play at that extremely high level, which he played better than, when he was on the field healthy. Look at 2 years ago, he was better than 7, so another tough one to rank. I got him. I like his game a lot. Him and Penei Sewell, some young guys that are very solid. Lane Johnson at 6, and he's probably been number 2, and he played with injuries last year. Missed a couple games, but then played while he was hurt. We heard that all, and he still played phenomenal. But maybe that starts to catch up to him a little bit. I still think he's going to be fantastic. I think there's some younger guys that we're going to talk about that they're creeping on up there. They're making their way to the elite. They probably already elite, and they could they can be a battle for number 1, in the near future. But I do have Lane Johnson kind of get passed up at some of the younger guys. And the Eagles, it's like quick go. You don't have to block too long there, so it's a little easier on the tackles. And on the top 5, I got Tristan Wirfs at 5, which I considered. It's crazy because I consider a guy, number 5, at number 1. And I once thought, maybe he can take over as the best tackle in football this year because he's expected to move to that left side and he can showcase more of his skill set because you do value left a little bit more than right. But then I was thinking, no more Tom Brady making the adjustments, getting the ball out quick. So his job could be a little bit harder. Maybe some other guys could be ranked ahead of him. Christian Darrisaw, the Vikings, extremely impressive last year. Ridiculously impressive. Getting Trent Williams comparisons actually before last year. The new coaching staff was talking about that, and they were right. When he played last year, he looked like the best tackle in football. He did miss a little bit of time. Concussion kept popping back up. So that's the tricky part, but he looked ridiculous. So if he plays the whole year, could be the guy of the future here, could be number 1. And Andrew Thomas, kind of in the same boat, well, not with injury, but the same boat in terms of being young and being dominant and already making his way to being elite. Just got that big contract for a reason. Was very impressive last year with the Giants. And the rest of that group on the offensive line didn't really play that great. So sometimes you're as good as your unit. So that makes it that much more impressive. Andrew Thomas but I think getting Brian Daboll and then some of the other guys in there, that staff in there, I think gets the most out of the premier talent, and they got a premier talent there in Andrew Thomas. So top 3, and some of the veterans still up here. Laramie Tunsil has kind of been in and out of the top 3. Had the injuries in the past, but was very impressive last year. And just thinking about, the Texans bringing in that new staff, going to run like a 49er type offense, and 49er at number 1 here. And it really get the most out of your star offensive lineman, but you really notice them too. You try to out physical the other team, you pound the football, and then kind of sneak attack through the air. So I think your premier tackle, will really be seen, I guess. So I like Laramie Tunsil as number 2 for this year. And then Trent Williams, like I said, some of these young guys are kind of taking over. I think after this year, I think we're going to be talking about maybe this is Andrew Thomas and Christian Darsaw and maybe Tristan Wirfs, Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell, Jordan Mailata perhaps. It's their league. I'm really looking at Thomas and Darsaw there at the top, but I still, Trent Williams is an elite, game-changing type offensive lineman. It's tough to take him off of number one, but he's getting up there in age. And again, some of these young guys could be passing on. Some of these young guys are very impressive. Like they're like how quickly they are becoming elite. Some of the guys that we've talked about. So again, Twitter subs get top 32. There's still some really good ones. That's tough because we're combining two positions basically, left and right tackle. So there's some really, really good ones still to talk about. From that 21 to 32 range. But did this for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, now tackles. And next up, the next video will be interior offensive linemen, so guards and centers together. And then on to defense, interior defensive line, edge rushers. I love defense. I'm a huge defensive guy here. So cannot wait to do that. Cannot wait to rank all the offenses, defenses, all that. And it's we're going to get it done here because the season's right around the corner. Final predictions, and then in-season content, weekly pick, score, predicted power rankings, more. I just can't wait. I cannot wait for all that. I know you guys enjoy it too. So make sure you join us on our channel. It's that time to turn the notifications on so you don't miss any of that, the important stuff here. We're past the boring part of the offseason. It's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.